We spend a lot of time evaluating why people fell down. We might look at like slip hazards, we might look at impairments in the body, like maybe a weak knee or a weak hip. But a lot of times we don't really look at the actual physical anatomical reasons why someone fell down. And that's what I want to take a look at today. And again, I go back to martial arts for this because we don't just say someone lost their balance. We have to look at exactly how that happened because it's something we're trying to manufacture, right? We're trying to create that loss of balance in someone in a martial arts setting because we want to, as I say, we want to hit them with the ground. We want them to fall down. And so, how exactly do we make that occur? Now, in the healthcare world, that gets really important because we can reverse engineer that to help someone be more stable. So, when we talk about how human beings stand and keep our balance, we've got three main areas to keep our focus on. We've got the top area with the head, neck, and chest. We've got the middle area with the pelvis and hips and tailbone. And we've got the lower area, the shins and ankles and feet. And here's the rule: when two out of three of those misalign and the third one is pinned in place, the person falls down. So let's look at what this actually means with a practical example from some martial arts movements. So let's go back to our title slide and connect the dots to see why he fell down in this way. Look what happens to his three centers of gravity that we talked about before. His upper one and his middle one come back towards me as I pull, but his feet, that lowest center of gravity, stays pinned to the ground where it is. So when the top two centers misalign, at some point he can no longer maintain his perfect structure because those top 2 points are too far out of alignment with that bottom point for him to remain upright. Now, the interesting thing with this one is even though I'm in front of him, I'm actually doing the same throw as when I was behind him. When you look at his positioning in here, you can see I bend him over, and at the first moment, his top point comes out of alignment, but actually he's really flexible. His middle and bottom centers of alignment are still in line. And remember the rule: 2 out of 3 of them have to be misaligned, and the third one has to be pinned in place. So right now, it's very difficult for him to move his feet, but his hips are still over his feet. That means only one of them, the top center around the head and neck, has been misaligned, so he won't fall down yet. I have to keep pushing that top center of alignment in his head and neck until it drags along that middle center of alignment with it. Because his feet are pinned where they are, eventually his knees have to bend to cover that distance, and at that point, the structure can't support itself anymore. Now, this technique is called tenchinage. It means heaven and earth throw because I'm extending toward the heavens with my top hand and toward the earth with my bottom hand. And what happens with this, it transfers into healthcare situations really nicely because I'm basically sitting him down. This is the structure we take when we're sitting down. So as I sit, what happens? My feet stay in place. I lower my hips, my pelvis, my butt, and my head comes with that second center of alignment. So the top and middle centers of alignment move backwards while the feet stay in place. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. In this movement, I'm just sitting him down. So when we look at the structure, I'm moving his head and his hips like he's sitting down in a chair. And eventually, that structure gets to the point where he has to sit down. Now, so far, we've talked about when the feet are pinned in place and the head and hips move. I'll show you a couple other versions of this because the rule isn't that the feet have to stay pinned, it's just that one of the three has to stay pinned. So in this one, this is called a koshinage. This is a hip throw. And what's happening in this one is I'm actually putting my body in the way of his hips. So his head moves forward, his feet move back, and his hips are actually what gets pinned in place. And again, once those two centers, the top and the bottom, are misaligned, the structure can't hold itself up anymore. And last, this is the throw where I'm pinning his hips in place without actually touching them. Because of the way that I'm moving his arm, it locks up his wrist, elbow, and shoulder in such a way that the only way for him to release it is to let go with his feet. That means his center of gravity, once again, has to stay pinned in the air while his head and his feet spin around like a pinwheel on that middle center of gravity. So keep this in mind for when you transfer people. When we help them sit down, we are assisting them in moving their top and middle centers of alignment backwards and keeping their feet stable so that they can sit down properly. When we help them stand up, we're shifting that middle and top center of alignment back forward over the bottom center of alignment. So we're not just picking them up, we're actually shifting their structure into place. That's going to make for a really sturdy transfer because we're following the laws of the body. We're following the laws of that biped body that helps us stay in balance on two legs.